I just returned from a top-secret mission, still nursing my wounds, when my boss frantically shoved a blind date prospect my way. Your whole department is full of old-timers. You're the only young woman there. I'm truly at my wit's end. On the other end of the line, my boss was practically in tears. I knew my boss had been tearing his hair out lately over the marriage rate quota. A partner assigned by the state probably wouldn't be a complete disaster, I figured, so I reluctantly agreed. The boss was absolutely thrilled and personally authorized the highest-level convalescence suite at the Military General Hospital for me, insisting I rest and recover in peace. My fiancé was also very supportive, urging me to settle in and focus on getting better, with our wedding to follow once I'd recovered. On the third evening after I moved in, just as I had finished my 4-drip and was about to rest, the door to my room was suddenly kicked in with a deafening crash. A woman with heavy, garish makeup barged in. She scanned the room with an appraising, brazen look and declared in a domineering tone, "I'm taking this room, be smart and get out, now." I forced myself up, gritting my teeth against the pain in my wound. "This room was specially assigned to me. Please leave, specially assigned, to you." The other person sneered, tilting their chin up with utter contempt. "Do you have any idea how much equipment the Jew family donates to this military hospital every year? In this city, there isn't a single room I, Suwana, can't have. If you don't get out now, I'll have Brother Chen make one call, and you'll be finished in this city, believe me." A cold laugh echoed in my heart as I directly dialed Zhu Jingchen's number. "Zhu Jingchen, you've got some nerve. I hear your Jew family treats the military hospital like your own personal hotel. If I weren't worried about a misunderstanding, I wouldn't have bothered making this call at all. I'd like to see for myself if the Jew family really thinks they're above the law." Zhu Jingchen sounded thoroughly annoyed on the phone. "Don't call me unless it's important." I kept my temper in check. "Care to explain why someone barged into my hospital room?" To my surprise, he said it as if it were the most obvious thing in the world. "It's a waste for you to be in such a nice room. Wana and I grew up together. She's delicate, and she likes the view from your suite. Let her have it. You'll be just fine in a standard room, I'll cover the cost." I almost laughed in disbelief. And this is the man my boss described as having a clean romantic history, who's never messed around. What a touching display of childhood sweetheart devotion. Su Wana's face was practically overflowing with smug satisfaction. "Did you hear that? Brother Chen is telling you to get out. Now, don't push your luck when you're being given a way out. If you hadn't tricked Grandpa Ju with your schemes, forcing him to make Brother Chen marry you, how could a backwater quack like you ever be worthy of stepping into the Ju family?" Her gaze swept over the faded, ordinary hospital gown, her contempt completely undisguised. "If you go quietly to the general ward right now, I might just let you have a bed, otherwise, don't blame me if I have you thrown out." I looked at her with amusement. "Is she here to make trouble on purpose?" I said patiently and gently. "Whatever your relationship with Zhu Jingchen is, this ward was specially approved by the state for my recovery. Please leave." Su Wana sneered. "Specially approved? For you? If it weren't for the Zhu family's influence, you wouldn't even be allowed through the hospital doors. Whatever. Arguing with someone like this is a complete waste of breath." I just pressed the red emergency call button by the bed. Security arrived quickly. I pointed at Su Wana and said, "She's trespassing. Please escort her out." The lead security captain's expression shifted slightly as he recognized Su Wana's face. Instead of taking action, he gave a slight bow and spoke respectfully. "Miss Su, how may I assist you?" Su Wana's arrogance flared. "This clueless creature is in my private room. Drag her out of here immediately." The security captain immediately turned on me with a menacing glare and grabbed for my arm. "This is a military specialized ward. How dare you lay a hand on me?" I snarled, the movement tugging at my wound and making me gasp in pain. The head guard sneered. "Military specialized. If Miss Su says you're out, you're out. The Jew family's word is law here." They grabbed my arms roughly and began to drag me away. "Get off me." I wrenched my arm free with all my strength, my body swaying from the searing pain. "You bitch, how dare you fight back?" Su Wana shrieked, charging forward and raising her hand to slap me viciously. I tilted my head to dodge the blow. "I'll teach you to dodge." She clawed savagely at my bandaged shoulder and arm. A searing pain shot through me, and my vision went dark, suppressing the instinct to throw her off. I snarled, "Let go. This is my final warning. This is a special access ward. not a place for you to act out. Your actions already constitute assault. My restraint only emboldened her further. Suwana suddenly pushed with all her might, shoving me right off the hospital bed. I hit the floor hard, a searing pain tearing through my injury. The nurses and patients' family members watching on the sidelines whispered among themselves, "TSK, TSK, of all people to cross, you had to pick Miss Sue. You actually dared to defy someone from the Jew family. Serves you right, exactly. Giving up a hospital room is no big deal. You were just being stubborn and brought this on yourself. Miss Sue is the apple of Mr. Jew's eye, cross her. And you can forget about making a living in this city." A wave of searing pain and icy rage shot to the top of my head. I clenched my jaw, refusing to retaliate. After all, as someone in a confidential role, keeping a low profile is the cardinal rule. I didn't want to make a scene. To my shock, Suwana seemed to have lost her mind. She snatched the fruit knife from the bedside table, its tip pointed menacingly at me. "Still not leaving? How about I put a few holes in you?" My eyes turned icy cold, my entire body tensed, and at the very moment the blade was about to touch me, I precisely clamped down on her knife-wielding wrist. At that critical juncture, a furious roar erupted from the doorway of the hospital room. "Stop! Chapter 02, Chapter 02. A crowd of people surged into the doorway of the hospital room. He immediately pulled Suwana into his arms, asking urgently, "Wana, are you alright? Are you hurt?" Suwana threw herself into his embrace, weeping pitifully. "Brother Chen, woo-woo, she hit me," she said, pointing to a faint red mark that was barely visible. Ju Jingchen turned to me, his eyes blazing with fury. How dare you? How dare you lay a hand on Wana?" I took a deep breath, forcing down the surging anger and sharp pain. "So you're Ju Jingchen, I'm Shenqing Dai, the fiancé your grandfather arranged for you." I gestured to the fruit knife on the floor and the disheveled room. "She barged in here trying to take my room. She threw the first punch. I was just defending myself." Shenqing Dai. Ju Jingchen looked me up and down, his disdain and contempt practically palpable. "Ah, so you're the one the old man foisted on me, that backwater barefoot doctor." He let out a derisive snort, his tone dripping with impatience. "Don't think that just because you schemed your way into being my fiancé, you can harm Wana. Wana is the only woman I, Ju Jingchen, will ever acknowledge as my fiancé. Wana gracing your hospital room with her presence was an honor for you. How dare you be so ungrateful as to hurt her? Get on your knees and apologize to Wana this instant. Get on my knees and apologize." The sheer absurdity of it all nearly made me laugh out loud. So this is the treasure old man Ju was practically worshipping my boss to get an introduction to. "Mr. Ju, is it really appropriate for you to demand I kneel and apologize, ignoring the facts and making no distinction between right and wrong? Furthermore," I said, my voice turning even colder as I pointed at the door plate, "open your eyes. This private ward was specially approved by the state for my recovery. She trespassed illegally, assaulted someone, and threatened us with a weapon. I'm being generous by not making her get on her knees and apologize. Special approval, for you." Ju Jingchen sneered. "If it weren't for my Jew family, you wouldn't even be allowed to set foot inside Songtao Manor's gates." Suwana chimed in smugly, "Exactly, a country bumpkin like you probably has no idea what kind of place Songtao Manor even is. This is the premier sanatorium of the Military General Hospital, reserved for VIPs with exceptional contributions. If it weren't for the Jew family, you wouldn't even be worthy of stepping foot in here." Ju Jingchen wrapped his arm around her, tilting his chin up with arrogance. "The Jew family arranged for you to stay here. You should have been groveling with gratitude. Don't you dare be so ungrateful, Ju Jingchen." I cut him off sharply, my voice icy. "I suggest you call your grandfather, right now, this instant, and ask him to clarify once and for all, was this room really arranged by your precious Jew family?" Chapter 303, Chapter 303. Ju Jingchen's eyes sharpened, as if his authority had been challenged. "I am the future head of the Jew family. So what if I really throw you out? Do you think grandfather would turn against me for an outsider like you?" He stared at me, enunciating each word with deliberate slowness. "Shenqing Dai. I'm giving you 3 seconds. Get on your knees and apologize to Wana, then get the hell out of here and go to the general ward. Otherwise," he sneered, "our engagement is over, right here, right now. Don't you dare think you can survive in this city. I mean every word." The crowd instantly erupted into a frenzy, buzzing with shocked murmurs. "Oh my God, Mr. Ju is serious. He's really calling off the engagement. Serves her right. Who does she think she is, trying to compete with Miss Sue? She's just asking for humiliation. Mr. Ju is a boss. Miss Sue is the only one worthy of the Ju family," Sue Wanna said with a haughty sneer. "Do you really think Brother Chen would ever look twice at a country bumpkin like you? If it weren't for the fact that you've tricked Grandpa Ju, you wouldn't even be worthy of stepping through the Ju family's gate." As I listened to these cutting remarks, the pain in my body only served to sharpen my mind. Slowly, I raised my head, a cold, mocking smile curling at the corner of my lips. "The Ju family, what do they amount to? If it weren't for your Ju family begging for this marriage, do you think I, Shen Qingdai, would have given it a second thought?" I took the betrothal token from my hospital gown pocket and threw it on the floor for all to see. "The engagement is null and void, effective immediately. Take your people and get out of my hospital room this instant. Don't you dare sully my space." Ju Jingchen's face turned livid. "You, how dare you speak to me like that?" Sue Wanna was furious too. "Brother Chen, what right does she have to throw us out? This convalescent suite was supposed to be mine." Ju Jingchen's tone was icy. "She's nothing but a clown. Don't worry, Wanna. There isn't a place in all of Beijing where you can't stay." His eyes turned cold as he gestured with a wave of his hand. "Since you refuse a toast, you'll have to drink a forfeit." Two security guards immediately stepped forward and roughly pinned me against the metal frame of the monitor. "Let go of me." The sharp edge dug into the small of my back. The searing pain made my vision swim and my legs buckle. With his arm around Sue Wanna, Ju Jingchen shot me a look of utter contempt, as if I were trash, and waved a dismissive hand. "Get him out of here. Don't let him ruin Wanna's recovery." The security guards roughly hoisted my nearly limp body and began dragging me out by force. Through the searing pain, I stared at the arrogant faces of Ju Jingchen and Sue Wanna. "You'd better pray that your Ju family can bear the consequences of what happened here today." Chapter 04. Ju Jingchen, with his arm around Sue Wanna, didn't even look up at the remark. He let out a contemptuous snort. "Consequences? Ha! My Ju family is the law in this city. I'd like to see what consequences I can't handle." Sue Wanna scoffed with a disdainful snort. "How laughable. Consequences? Who do you think you are?" Her eyes darted, a flash of malicious cunning glinting within them. "Oh, that's right. You've been freeloading at the Pine Wave Pavilion on the Ju family's dime for days now. Isn't it about time you settled the bill?" She deliberately drew out her words, asking in a sarcastic, insinuating tone. "Don't tell me you're trying to weasel out of paying. You're not Brother Chen's fiancé anymore. Letting you stay here for free all those days was a complete waste." Ju Jingchen looked at Sue Wanna with adoration. "Wanna is right. Someone like her." He paused deliberately, then looked at me. "Well, how do you plan to make it right? How much do you want?" I asked coldly, my voice like ice. As I stared them down, Sue Wanna was convinced I was just putting on a brave face. She snorted coldly. "Compensate? With what? Do you think this is some rundown village clinic?" She sneered. "Let me tell you, a single day in a Songtao Garden suite costs hundreds of thousands. Add in the premium care, imported medications, not to mention you've wasted the Ju family's top-tier connections." She started counting on her fingers, throwing out outrageous numbers and making up figures on the spot. "Fine, I'll cut you a deal. Just pay me 10 million. You've got half an hour to get it. If you can't, you'll be rotting in jail for the rest of your life." Ju Jingchen was amused by Sue Wanna's penny-pinching attitude. He leaned down, gave her a kiss on the cheek, and teased, "Wanna, you're so good at saving money and managing the household for your big brother. How about I put you in charge of my 100 billion fortune from now on?" His tone was full of indulgence and admiration. Sue Wanna cooed in a sickly sweet voice. "Brother Chen, you're so mean, Tilda. I can pay you 10 million. I suddenly spoke up. "But what about compensation for you shoving me and causing my wound to reopen?" Sue Wanna and Ju Jingchen were both stunned for a moment. Sue Wanna looked as if she had just heard the most ridiculous joke. "Ha ha ha, compensation. A worthless life like yours dares to speak of compensation." She doubled over with malicious laughter, a few scratches. "So what if I took you apart and sold you for parts right now?" She sneered with utter confidence. "Go ahead, try to sue me. Let's see who in this city would dare to take your side." Among the nurses and family members watching from the sidelines, someone muttered under their breath, "The Jew family has powerful connections, you know." "Sure, don't say any more, we can't afford to cross them. An hour ago, I never could have imagined that someone would dare to insult and threaten me so brazenly. I've truly seen it all now. The sheer audacity of this person is breathtaking." Without another word, I pulled out the military satellite phone right in front of everyone. "Sir, the specially approved ward has been forcibly occupied. I've been threatened with a knife, requesting immediate action." "What?" The voice on the other end of the line exploded with fury. "Who on earth has the nerve?" I gave him a quick rundown of what happened, adding a hint of sarcasm to my voice. "They said the Jew family runs this city. They can do whatever they damn well please. They gave me half an hour to pay up, or they'd take me apart and sell me for scrap." "What?" An enraged roar instantly erupted from the other end of the line. "The Jew family dares to touch you. How dare they even say such a thing? Cut the act. Who do you think you're fooling?" Suwanna viciously snatched the satellite phone from my hand. She screamed into the receiver, "You old bastard, stop your yelling. Who do you think you're scaring? Listen up, you have 30 minutes. Get over here with 10 million in cash to buy him back." 1 minute late, her voice suddenly sharpened, dripping with malice, "And you can start planning her funeral. I mean it, let's see what you can do to me." The boss on the other end was stunned by this brazen outburst. Having lived a long life, this was probably the first time anyone had dared to challenge him so openly. Suwanna's tone grew even more contemptuous. "Ha, scared, the old geezer's not so tough after all." She hung up the phone with a triumphant flourish, then, in one swift motion, she hurled my satellite phone to the ground, shattering the screen instantly. Turning to Ju Jing Chen, she cooed for praise. "Brother Chen tilde C, I told you they were all bark and no bite." The sheer absurdity of the scene was too much, and I couldn't help but burst out laughing right then and there. I looked at Ju Jing Chen, my tone laced with implication. "Mr. Ju, aren't you afraid Miss Su might offend someone she shouldn't?" Clearly, it never crossed their minds that I could have any connections. Ju Jing Chen scoffed dismissively. "In the entire capital, there's no one the Ju family can't afford to offend. Even if the sky falls, I'll be there to hold it up for Wanna." He raised an eyebrow, looking at me. "Or are you saying you regret calling off our engagement? Look at him, showing off. There's enough grease here to fry 2 whole dishes." I gave a thin, humorless smile. "I hope you'll still be this confident in a moment." Suwanna immediately pulled his attention back, cooing sweetly, "Brother Chen, why waste your breath on her? She obviously can't afford it." Before she could finish her sentence, alarm bells suddenly blared throughout the hospital. The next moment, the deafening roar of helicopter rotors grew from a distant hum to an overwhelming presence. A gale-force wind whipped up, and the entire building shook. Immediately after, a squad of heavily armed, elite soldiers swiftly moved in and surrounded the area. The heavy, synchronized thud of combat boots hitting the ground was unnervingly precise, each step landing like a blow to everyone's heart. In an instant, the dark, menacing muzzles of their weapons covered every possible angle. Chapter 5:05. Chapter 5:05. Everyone was stunned, facing so many gun barrels for the first time. They were terrified. Nearly dropping into a crouch with their hands over their heads, Ju Jingchen's face changed abruptly. Was a VIP attacked? Suwanna pursed her lips, forcing a look of composure. "Who dares to cause trouble here?" A major general with a face as stern as iron strode into the room with powerful, commanding steps. He walked straight to my hospital bed, snapped his heels together, and raised his hand in a sharp salute. "Professor Shen, by urgent order of the Supreme Command. The Special Operations Squad is here to provide security, awaiting your orders." The moment I said that, every eye in the room instantly fixed on me. Suwanna's eyes widened in disbelief, her mouth slightly agape. Just then, Director Wang, sweating profusely, hurriedly squeezed through the wall of soldiers and stepped forward. He completely ignored Ju Jingchen and the others, rushed to my bedside, and spoke with utter terror. "Professor Shen, I am so terribly sorry. What a fright you must have had." He was stammering, his voice trembling with fear. "How are you feeling? Has your condition worsened? We will immediately assemble a consultation with the most eminent specialists in the entire hospital." I shot him a cold glance. "Your hospital certainly knows how to throw its weight around. I fear I wouldn't survive a stay in this Pine Wave Pavilion. Director Wang nearly jumped out of his skin. Cold sweat cascaded down his forehead like a waterfall. Professor Shen, please calm your anger. This is a severe failure on our part, allowing these lawless thugs to disturb you. We sincerely hope you can give Songtao Court an opportunity to make this right. He turned to Zhu Jingchen and Su Wanna and barked. Who gave you the audacity to barge into Professor Shen's room, wielding a weapon, threatening the safety of a senior national research scientist? Zhu Jingchen was incredulous. A senior national research scientist? Huh, you must be joking. You've got the wrong person, Su Wanna chimed in shrilly. Dean Wang, she's just a country bumpkin. You've all been deceived. Dean Wang looked at these two fools who were still digging their own graves and trembled with rage. He pointed a trembling finger at Su Wanna. Su Wanna, you're courting death and don't even know it. 5 minutes ago, didn't you snatch Professor Shen's phone, and then hurl abuse at the person on the other end? Su Wanna nodded subconsciously, then argued, he's just a grumpy old man, what's the big deal? Dean Wang was so furious he nearly fainted. Su Wanna, you've got some nerve, how dare you insult him? Do you have any idea who he is? Enough. Zhu Jingchen cut Dean Wang off sharply. Unfazed, Dean Wang, show some respect. So what if they have some status? Could it possibly be higher than the Zhu families? He pulled the frightened Su Wanna into his arms, comforting her. Don't be afraid, Wanna, with the Zhu family behind us. Let's see who dares lay a finger on you. You're so wonderful. Brother Chen tilde Su Wanna nestled into his embrace. Dean Wang looked at this pair of reckless fools and was so angry he actually laughed. The Zhu family. They're not even fit to polish Professor Shen's shoes, let alone her superiors. The trouble you've caused today, even if you threw the entire Zhu family fortune at it, it wouldn't be enough to make amends. At these words, the surrounding medical staff and watching family members collectively drew a sharp, shocked breath. What? Just who is this Professor Shen? The Zhu family is the wealthiest in the capital. She can actually mobilize this many guards for her protection. We're done for. Mr. Zhu and Miss Su have really kicked a hornet's nest this time. Zhu Jingchen was still defiant. Impossible. Who would dare disrespect the Zhu family? Director, our family has never been short on sponsorship for this institution every year. Let's settle this privately. Director Wang sneered coldly. Who cares about your measly sponsorship? Plenty of companies are lining up to throw money at Songtao Court. Didn't anyone teach you? In the capital, if a brick falls from the sky, it'll hit 3 officials, and this is a military sanatorium. Every resident here is a national hero. You've got some nerve causing trouble here. Under Director Wang's scathing rebuke, the last vestiges of Zhu Jingchen's forced composure completely vanished from his face. The arm he had around Su Wanna began to tremble uncontrollably. Watching Zhu Jingchen's utterly devastated expression, a playful smile slowly curved on my lips. Mr. Zhu, I've had the guards bring the compensation you demanded. I just wonder if you have the nerve to accept it. I turned my gaze to the Major General. The Major General understood perfectly and gave a sharp, decisive gesture. 2 soldiers immediately carried in a heavy military-grade alloy case. The lid sprang open, revealing a case packed full of crisp, new 100-yuan bills. Su Wanna was shaken to her core, but she still forced herself to stand her ground, her voice trembling. Why wouldn't I dare? So what if you have some status? The fact is, you used the Zhu family's medical resources. Even a court would rule it perfectly legal. It was as if she had found a lifeline. Her voice rose. You're not trying to throw your weight around, are you? I shook my head gently, my eyes filled with pity. Miss Su, it seems you are completely in the dark about what a specially approved ward entails. This special care unit requires the highest level of security clearance and is directly approved by the relevant central authorities. The Zhu family, I scoffed, even if they donated every last penny they have, they wouldn't come close to qualifying for a special exception. I stared at Su Wanna, whose face had drained of all color in an instant, and asked, enunciating each word slowly and deliberately, now, do you still think I'm the one who took over the hospital room that was rightfully yours? Chapter 6, Chapter 06, Su Wanna finally panicked. It's just a minor injury, isn't it? I'll pay for your treatment, double, 10 times. Is that enough? Zhu Jingchen tried to explain. Shenqing Dai. Wanna didn't mean to take your hospital room on purpose. She didn't know any better. It's all a misunderstanding. I watched their death throes with a cold, unflinching gaze. I told you. You'll bear the consequences. Now, it's too late. I turned to the officer, my voice weak yet carrying an undeniable finality. They attempted to forcibly occupy a state specially approved hospital room, disrupt the treatment of a meritorious individual, and subjected me to personal threats, armed assault, and extortion. The evidence is irrefutable. Handle this according to regulations. Yes, Professor Shin. The officer immediately snapped to attention, his gaze sharp as a blade. With a swift motion, he produced a detention warrant stamped with a bright red seal. His expression stern and imposing. Suwana, you are suspected of forcibly trespassing into a military-controlled zone and committing armed assault, thereby threatening the life and safety of a meritorious scientific researcher. You have obstructed official duties related to a vital national research project and attempted to extort a national meritorious individual. The circumstances are exceptionally egregious. By the authority of the law, you are hereby placed under emergency arrest. You will be taken to a military tribunal to await trial. Suwana's face was a mask of pure terror, her legs gave way, and she nearly collapsed. A pair of cold, heavy, specially-made alloy handcuffs snapped shut around her wrists in an instant. The Major General then turned to Ju Jing-chen, whose face had gone deathly pale, his voice dropping to an even colder tone. Ju Jing-chen, you have exploited your family's influence to interfere with the core medical operations of the military. You threatened and used violence to expel personnel of national strategic scientific merit. You instigated and condoned acts of extortion and threats of physical annihilation against others. The Major General's voice suddenly rose to a commanding pitch, like a judge delivering a verdict, effective immediately. All assets of the Ju Group within the country are to be frozen indefinitely. All accounts are to be seized. All of the Ju Group's business operations in the pharmaceutical sector are to be terminated. All relevant licenses are hereby revoked. All authorizations, patents, and production lines related to the Celestial Vault project held by the Ju Group are to be suspended. All personnel associated with the Ju family are subject to travel restrictions. They must be available for summons at any time. These words were the true thunderclap. This is like tearing the Ju family out by the roots, casting them into the abyss with no hope of ever recovering. No, it can't be. How is this possible? The Ju family is Tsungkyung's sole designated partner. Without that authorization, Ju Jing-chen was as if struck by lightning. His entire body shuddered violently, his eyes instantly becoming hollow and desolate. All his arrogance, conceit, and the halo of being the Ju family heir were utterly crushed to dust in that moment. He could hold on no longer, his knees crashing down heavily onto the cold floor. The Major General no longer paid him any heed, his stern face instantly shifting to one of absolute deference. Professor Shin, how are your injuries? Do you require immediate medical attention? Enduring the searing pain in my lower back and the dizziness, I managed a slight nod. Please, clear the area. It's too loud, sir. Yes, sir. The mission will be accomplished. The Major saluted again, his voice booming. Escort Professor Shin to the absolute quiet zone. Code 1 alert. All non-essential personnel. His icy gaze, sharp as a blade, swept over the kneeling Ju Jing-chen, the wailing Suwana, the stunned onlookers, and the ashen-faced security guards. Clear the area. Now, the well-trained soldiers sprang into action immediately, just as he was being dragged from the room. Ju Jing-chen jerked his head up, his bloodshot eyes burned with bitter resentment. Shen Qingdai, he roared, just who the hell are you? I leaned forward slightly, a cold, mocking smile curling at the corner of my lips. You've been living off my patents, and you have the nerve to ask who I am. I watched as his expression instantly froze, as if struck by lightning, turning utterly ashen and lifeless. Idiot. Chapter 7:07. Chapter 7:07. Just as the Special Task Force was about to take Suwana and Ju Jing-chen away, wait, hold your hand, a sharp, aged shout came from behind the crowd. An old man with silver hair, dressed in a tang suit, was seen stumbling forward in haste, under the astonished gazes of everyone. He bent at nearly a 90-degree angle and bowed to me. Professor Shin, I am utterly ashamed. I have failed in teaching my grandson and allowed you to suffer this grave insult. I, Ju Xianghai. I have let down my country. I have let you down. Ju Jing-chen clutched at this lifeline. Grandfather, Save me, I didn't know she was. Old Master Ju suddenly straightened up, slapped Ju Jingchen hard across the face, and roared, "You disgrace, apologize to Professor Shen this instant. A century of the Ju family's legacy is about to be destroyed by your stupidity." Ju Jingchen rushed forward in remorse, pleading desperately, "Qing Dai, I was wrong, I didn't know. It was Wanna who was jealous of you, she deliberately spoke ill of you in front of me. We still have a marriage contract. You wouldn't want your future husband's family to go bankrupt, would you?" The guards held him back firmly, preventing him from getting close to me. My expression remained calm. "An apology is unnecessary. Besides, our engagement was annulled long ago." Ju Xianghai. Does your Ju family truly believe that being the wealthiest in the capital grants you the license to act with impunity, to treat the nation's laws as if they were nothing? Old Master Ju broke into a cold sweat instantly. "Professor Shin, this was all the doing of this disgraceful wretch and Su Wanna acting on their own. Our Ju family was completely in the dark. We are willing to cooperate fully with the investigation. I beg you, for the sake of this old man's remaining years, show some mercy, please spare the Ju family," he declared with urgent fervor. "In my capacity as head of the Ju family, I hereby announce the immediate termination of Ju Jingchen's positions within the Ju group and the revocation of his inheritance rights. He is hereby expelled from the family." Ju Jingchen felt as if he had been plunged into an icy abyss, his face a mask of utter disbelief. He began to realize that he might have truly committed a monumental, unforgivable blunder. Su Wanna shrieked, "Grandfather Ju, Brother Chen is your most outstanding grandson. How could you do this to him?" Old Master Ju didn't even grant them a single glance. "But how can we just call off the engagement like this? The Ju family has many other fine young men, whichever one you prefer. I will name him as the heir. The Ju family's assets, 70%, it can all be transferred to your name. I only beg you." I watched this farce with cold eyes, feeling nothing but disgust. 1 hour ago, my engagement to Ju Jingchen was annulled, the tokens have been returned. I have severed all ties with your Ju family. Chapter 8. Chapter 8. The moment the words were spoken, I gave a slight nod to the Major General. The Major General's gaze was sharp. "Execute the order. Take them away." The soldiers hesitated no longer, roughly dragging out the weeping, struggling Su Wanna and the utterly despondent Ju Jingchen. Old Master Ju reached out a trembling hand, his aged face a mask of ashen despair. No sooner had his secretary helped him out of the hospital than Old Master Ju received a barrage of phone calls. His face turned deathly pale, and he finally collapsed to the ground, unable to even grip his cane. The Ju group was hit with severe penalties for multiple felonies including tax evasion, commercial bribery, and market monopolization, causing its stock price to crash. In a matter of hours, the corporate giant came crashing down. Teetering on the brink of bankruptcy, Ju Jingchen is facing multiple serious charges, including endangering national security, intentional assault against a meritorious individual, and commercial crimes. Su Wanna has been sentenced for multiple criminal offenses. The management of Songtao Court has been dismissed and placed under investigation, with a comprehensive overhaul of the entire institution ordered. I have been transferred to a more secluded and heavily guarded location to continue my convalescence. A few days later, the leadership paid me a personal visit. You know, in a way, this was a blessing in disguise. It's finally settled that whole mess with the Ju family. Saves me from the old man pestering me every day. He looked at me, his gaze carrying a hint of probing. "The organization, considering the great injustice you've suffered this time, has taken the liberty of finding you another fine comrade. This one is absolutely solid, impeccable pedigree, a graduate of the National University of Defense Technology's Gifted Youth Program, a National Science Fund for Distinguished Young Scholars by 30. The organization has vetted 3 generations of his family, completely clean." I looked at my superior's eager face, a profound weariness, tinged with the absurdity of having narrowly survived a disaster, washed over me. I gave a wry but resolute smile. "Boss, have mercy on me. As for this marriage, I really don't dare go through with it right now." My boss let out a regretful sigh. All right, you can't force these things. I'll have to ask someone else about hitting that marriage rate target." He stood up and patted my shoulder. "Focus on your recovery. The nation is counting on you to tackle the next great challenge." The hospital room fell quiet once more. I ran my fingers over the medal, the highest honor for scientific achievement. All the clamor and bustle of this fleeting world dissipates like mist and smoke. I, Shen Qing Dai, pledge my life to my country, vowing not to squander this prime of my youth. Story 2. When I had a miscarriage due to a car accident, Xu Yunjing happened to pass by in his car with his female assistant. Seeing my white dress stained with blood, he covered his female assistant's curious eyes and coldly left a sentence, "It's unlucky, don't look." Then he accelerated and drove away. Late that night, in the corner of the wardrobe in the bedroom, I found a lace underwear that didn't belong to me. Closing the wardrobe door, I calmly dialed the phone and said, "General Manager Chen, I've made up my mind. I can leave this city next week and join your company." Hello, everyone. Welcome to my channel. Subscribe us to read wonderful novels every day. Now the story begins. That's great. Linran, welcome to join us. The moment the call ended, Xu Yunjing just walked out of the bathroom. His hair was half dry, and there was a faint trace of water vapor on his body. In the past, he used to take a shower in no more than 5 minutes. Recently, he always took his phone with him and spent at least half an hour washing and grooming. "Who were you talking to just now?" When he asked me this, Xu Yunjing's gaze was still fixed on his phone. I truthfully told him that I had just finished talking to General Manager Chen. The man just let out an "oh." I knew that, as always, he didn't really listen to what I said, and this time, for the first time, I didn't argue or make a fuss. I started to edit my resignation letter on my phone, when Xu Yunjing picked up the water cup but didn't get to drink the soothing tea that I made for him every night. His gaze finally fell on me as if it were a kind of charity. "Linran, I showed your CT report to an orthopedic expert. He said you just suffered a minor skin injury. Just be careful not to get the wound wet." I kept my eyes on the phone screen and typed, "I see, this afternoon, my calf was sutured with 8 stitches due to the car accident. Not only that, but I was also found to be 4 weeks pregnant with signs of a threatened miscarriage." The doctor regretfully said that if I had been sent to the hospital earlier, perhaps the child could have been saved. Seeing that my expression was unusually cold, Xu Yunjing furrowed his handsome brows and was about to come over to see what I was busy with. At this moment, his phone vibrated. The man immediately raised the corners of his mouth and turned to walk into the study. Seeing this, I used my secondary account to open Xu Yunjing's Moments. I saw a new post that was visible to everyone except me, a self-criticism. The person making the self-criticism was Xu Yunjing. I shouldn't have gone back on my word to the cutest little assistant in the whole universe. I promised to get off work on time and take the little assistant to have a big meal. But because of my busy work, I made her hungry for a whole 10 minutes. I was completely wrong. From now on, I will definitely turn over a new leaf and be a good boss. After I liked the post, I just received the contract sent by General Manager Chen. I clicked on the contract link and signed my name without hesitation. The next morning, Xu Yunjing got up early and bought steamed stuffed buns and steamed dumplings from a well-known old store. Just as I was about to open the insulated bag of the crab roe steamed buns, the man slapped my hand, turning it red. "Don't you like eating dumplings? I specially bought the shrimp steamed dumplings for you." I was taken aback for a moment and quickly realized that the crab roe steamed buns were bought for Jiangyu. I couldn't help asking Xu Yunjing, "I've been in a relationship with you for 7 years. Don't you know that I'm allergic to shrimp?" Xu Yunjing's face changed slightly. He suddenly stood up and said coldly, "Picking a fight for no reason. Eat it if you want, or don't." Seeing that Xu Yunjing was about to go out, I walked into the room and picked up a bag. "When you see Jiangyu later, please return this to her for me." Seeing the lace underwear inside, a look of astonishment flashed in Xu Yunjing's eyes. He opened his mouth, as if he wanted to explain something, but seeing that I didn't show the slightest intention to argue with him and looked so indifferent, he just said, "I'll tell Xiaoye not to be so forgetful in the future." Okay. Seeing that I was in a low mood, Xu Yunjing offered to drive me to work today. During our 7-year relationship, even in the most adverse conditions, as the company's general manager, he had always been so strict about separating work from personal matters that he had never driven me to and from work. But on Jiangyu's first day at work, she started enjoying his pick-up and drop-off service. Thinking of this, I accidentally dropped my chopsticks to the ground and my fingertips trembled as I reached down to pick them up. By the time I straightened up, Shu Yunjing had already walked outside the entrance hall. Without looking back, he left a sentence, "There's something urgent at the company. I'll drive you another time." Then he left in a hurry. Half an hour later, I limped to my workstation. For some reason, most of my colleagues looked at me with sympathy. When I went to the pantry to get water, I heard two colleagues whispering, "So, General Manager Shu really dumped Lin Ran and got together with that Jiangyu." "Definitely. You didn't see it this morning. Jiangyu just got her period and stained her skirt a little." General Manager Shu directly carried her in his arms like a princess and took her to the office on the top floor in front of all the department heads in the conference room. The mug in my hand slipped and shattered. The gossip in the pantry stopped abruptly. I squatted down and silently picked up the pieces of the mug and threw them into the trash can one by one. I worked overtime until 10 o'clock at night. Suddenly, I felt a weight on my shoulders. Shu Yunjing draped his suit jacket over me. "Lin Ran, why didn't you reply to my message?" I didn't turn around. I just lit up my phone and took a look at the unread message. "What kind of flavored milk tea do you girls usually like?" 3 years ago, I, like most others, asked Shu Yunjing for the first cup of milk tea in autumn. At that time, Shu Yunjing looked at me with a look of disgust and said, "Lin Ran, you're almost 30 years old, don't follow this silly trend and gross me out." But now, Shu Yunjing took the initiative to bring me a cup of milk tea. Seeing that I didn't touch the milk tea and continued to work, a strange look appeared in Shu Yunjing's eyes. "Didn't you keep clamoring for this before?" I casually, perfunctorily replied, "It's too late. Drinking it will make me insomnia." There was a moment of silence. The man said in a cold voice, "I'm going to the restroom. And then we'll go home together." Half a minute later, Shu Yunjing's phone, which was placed on my workstation, lit up. It was a message from Jiangyu. "Brother Yunjing is such a big fool tilde who would send dozens of cups of milk tea at once. Brother, you don't really want to turn Yaya into a little chubby pig, do you? So scared tilde." I got home a little after 11 o'clock. I walked into the bedroom and started packing my personal belongings. As soon as Shu Yunjing, who had just taken a shower, entered the bedroom, he noticed that there were obviously fewer things on the dressing table. He frowned and said, "Lin Ran, I'm going on a business trip to Paris next month. If there's anything you want to buy, make a list for me." I replied without thinking, "Don't bother, I don't need anything, anyway. I'll be leaving in a few days. There's no need to go to the trouble." Throwing the bath towel onto the bed, Shu Yunjing looked at me with cold eyes and said, "Just because I bought breakfast that didn't suit your taste, you've been throwing a tantrum at me until now, right?" I was just about to explain that I wasn't angry. The man already let out a sneer. "You know I hate women who put on airs the most. Lin Ran, you've crossed the line." Walking into the study, Shu Yunjing slammed the door shut. During our 7-year relationship, Shu Yunjing initiated the Cold War countless times, and I, countless times, humbly made peace. However, this time, I really didn't care anymore. Shu Yunjing stayed in the study all night and didn't hear a single knock on the door. The next morning, as usual, I made breakfast for two. Just as I finished my portion and was about to go to work, Shu Yunjing walked out of the study with a cold expression on his face, holding his phone. He ordered me in an impatient tone, "Lin Ran, I'll give you a day off. Before 5 o'clock in the afternoon, make an identical fondant cake for me." Since I established a romantic relationship with Shu Yunjing, I have made his birthday cake by hand every year. I've seen the cartoon pattern on his phone. This is Jiangyu's WeChat avatar. The living room fell silent. Just as Shu Yunjing belatedly realized that he had proposed an overly unreasonable task, I nodded. "Send me the picture. I'll go out and buy the materials now." If it hadn't been for Shu Yunjing at that dinner party 7 years ago, as a newcomer in the workplace, I definitely wouldn't have been able to get out of it unscathed. After making this cake, I really won't owe him anything anymore. Looking at my lonely back as I walked towards the door, Shu Yunjing called out to me in a daze. I didn't look back and just asked, "Is there anything else you want to tell me?" "I've transferred the money for buying the materials to you." Sitting in the elevator, I opened the chat window with Shu Yunjing. I found it ridiculous that I had sent him a total of 363 messages, and he had replied to me with only 25 messages. In the living room, hearing the prompt tone that the transfer of 100,000 yuan had been returned, Shu Yunjing couldn't help but clench his phone tightly. At 8 o'clock that night, I received a call from Shu Yunjing. "Lin Ran, Where are you? I was dining at a noodle shop near my home. Instead of answering his question directly, I just asked, what's the matter? The man's tone was gentle. Nothing. I just wanted to tell you that the cake you made is as delicious as ever. After a pause, he added in a low voice, thank you for your hard work. Before I could reply, Jiang Yu's delicate voice sounded, Sister Lin Ran, I heard from Brother Yunjing that the birthday cake I had today was made by you. Is that true? Oh my God. Sister, you're so amazing. Unlike me, I'm so clumsy and always get scolded by Brother Yunjing for being a little fool. The moment Jiang Yu invited me to the birthday party, Shu Yunjing's voice appeared again. Lin Ran, you don't need to come. After saying that, the man hung up the phone. However, a few minutes later, he sent me a location and a message. When you come, bring a pack of tomato-flavored potato chips for Xiaoye from the nearby convenience store. When I pushed open the door of the private room, Shu Yunjing was feeding Jiang Yu the cake. Seeing me appear, a look of displeasure filled the man's eyes. I knew that the location and the message were sent by Jiang Yu, but I still came. Hearing Jiang Yu sweetly call me sister-in-law, Shu Yunjing glared at me with a cold face and said, didn't I tell you not to come? Sorry, Brother Yunjing, I really wanted to eat potato chips. So I tricked Sister Lin Ran into coming. Seeing Jiang Yu pout sadly, Shu Yunjing doted on her and ruffled her hair, calling her a little glutton in a low voice. Realizing that the man was in a good mood, I immediately took out my resignation letter. General Manager Shu, a colleague has something urgent at home and is in a hurry to leave. Please approve this. According to the rules, the resignation application should be approved and processed by the company's Human Resources Department. But when the Human Resources Manager saw that the applicant was me, he directly returned the form. The lighting in the private room was dim. As I expected, Shu Yunjing, who was busy flirting with Jiang Yu, didn't even look at the name on the form and directly signed it. However, when I was about to take back the form, the man suddenly pressed my hand. Looking thoughtful, he asked me, Lin Ran, did you come here just for this? When I nodded, Shu Yunjing's face turned a little gloomy. In less than 2 seconds, he quickly let go of my hand as if he had been electrocuted. Presumably, he touched the blisters on my hand caused by boiling sugar. He must have felt disgusted. At this time, Jiang Yu seemed to have discovered something interesting and said to me, Sister Lin Ran, the red string on your wrist looks so familiar. Oh, I remember. The other day, I saw an identical one in my family's trash can. Pretending not to see Shu Yunjing's action of covering his wrist, I replied indifferently, this kind of red string is very common. If you like it, I can give you the one on my hand. Jiang Yu didn't take it. After walking out of the private room, I immediately found the trash can and threw away the red string that I had worn for 7 years. While waiting for the elevator, I received a call from my mother. She asked me if I had booked the ticket to go home. I said, I'll book it in a few days. As soon as I finished speaking, I heard Shu Yunjing's puzzled voice behind me. What are you going to book? Hanging up the phone, I lied without changing my expression. There's a very popular restaurant. I need to book in advance. Hearing this, Shu Yunjing didn't say anything more. He just pulled me and booked a suite in a nearby hotel. He started to deal with urgent business matters on his laptop. We were so in sync that we were busy until the early morning, while waiting for feedback from overseas customers. I couldn't hold on any longer and fell asleep. When I woke up the next day, I found myself lying on the bed. Shu Yunjing was leaning against the headboard reading the financial newspaper. Seeing that I woke up, he asked the waiter to bring breakfast. Halfway through the breakfast, the man suddenly asked me why I had changed my phone password. I just wanted to change it. The original password was a combination of my birthday and his. Since I've decided to break up, it's naturally impossible to keep using it forever. Shu Yunjing put down the knife and fork in his hand. Lin Ran, didn't you always clamor for me to accompany you to watch a movie? There's a cinema nearby. Since the boss was taking the lead in skipping work, I didn't have the right to refuse. Snuggling up to my boyfriend in a quiet and sparsely populated cinema, holding popcorn and watching a comedy, this sweet scene that I had once dreamed of was perfectly realized at this moment, but I was uninterested and kept yawning. Noticing that I was distracted, Shu Yunjing frowned and said, you picked this movie. What's wrong? Don't you like it? No, it's quite good. Hearing my perfunctory answer, the man pursed his thin lips. It seemed that he had something to say. At this moment, his phone received a message. For this reason, He didn't even say a word and just walked out directly. Until the movie ended, Xu Yunjing didn't come back. Just as I was about to call him, I heard a familiar sweet female voice not far away. Brother Yunjing, you're so amazing. I saw Jiangyu, who had received a huge stuffed toy, excitedly laughing and jumping onto Xu Yunjing. She kissed the man's cheek with a smack. Xu Yunjing held Jiangyu's thighs. The smile in his eyes disappeared instantly when he saw me. Sister Lin Ran, you're here too. Jiangyu looked at me in surprise. A few seconds later, she let out a shy scream and covered her face as she stepped down from Xu Yunjing. Sister Lin Ran. Please don't misunderstand, it's all my fault, I was just too excited. Xu Yunjing gently scraped Jiangyu's nose and said to her in a doting tone that there was no need to apologize. Then he looked at me and said as if nothing had happened, has the movie ended so soon? Before I could speak, a piercing fire alarm suddenly rang in the mall. The crowd scattered in panic. Before I could react, Xu Yunjing had already taken Jiangyu's hand and protected her as they ran towards the emergency exit. 5 minutes later, the alarm caused by human error was lifted. Xu Yunjing returned to the original place. He looked around for a long time, but he couldn't find me anywhere. 2 hours later, after completing the resignation procedures, I dragged my suitcase and appeared at the high-speed rail station. While waiting for the train, my phone kept ringing for no apparent reason. The caller ID showed it was Xu Yunjing. I was too lazy to answer, so I simply set it to mute. Just before boarding the high-speed rail, I sent a message to Xu Yunjing, let's break up. After sending the message, I took out the phone card and threw it into the trash can. I arrived at the hometown station close to midnight. As soon as I walked out of the ticket-checking gate, I saw my father, who had been waiting for a long time, sitting in my father's car. I saw a large bag of my favorite snacks and yogurt in the passenger seat. Before driving, my father cheerfully inserted a straw into the yogurt and placed it in my hand. Seeing my father's white temples, I finally couldn't hold back and burst into tears. Dad, this time I'm back, and I'll never leave. I want to stay by your and Mom's side for the rest of my life. Silly girl, whether you stay by our side or not, you're always our dearest Ran Ran. My father could tell that I was in a very bad mood, but since I didn't take the initiative to talk about it, he didn't ask anything. I went home, took a shower, and ate the homemade meal cooked by my parents. At 10 o'clock at night, when I lay in bed and opened the music app, planning to listen to some soothing music to help me fall asleep, I unexpectedly saw several private messages. The person who sent the private messages was the female colleague in the company who had the best relationship with me. Surprised by my sudden resignation, she sincerely asked me, was there anything wrong? Was there anything she could do to help? Just as I was thinking about how to reply, the female colleague sent me a video. She said, Sister Ran, this video of General Manager Xu and Jiangyu has gone viral in the work group. After a moment of hesitation, I finally clicked on the video. At a glance, it could be seen that the video footage was intercepted from the surveillance camera in the company's conference room. There were 3 people in the conference room, Xu Yunjing, Jiangyu, and the manager of the Human Resources Department. Although the surveillance video didn't record the sound, I recognized the piece of paper that Xu Yunjing was holding in his hand. It was the resignation application form that I had just submitted this afternoon. At the beginning of the video, the male manager of the Human Resources Department was so nervous and scared that he seemed about to cry. He kept bowing and explaining something. However, Xu Yunjing kept his eyes lowered and stared at the resignation application in his hand, not even looking at the manager. 3 minutes and 40 seconds later, Xu Yunjing, whose sitting posture remained unchanged, casually waved his hand. The Human Resources manager left with a bow, as if he had been granted amnesty. Jiangyu, who had been standing behind the man with an ugly expression on her face, forced a sweet smile. Just as she was about to touch Xu Yunjing's shoulder, she was startled and took several steps back by the man, who suddenly waved his arm and swept the hot coffee beside him onto the ground. The coffee splashed onto his face and clothes, but the man stood up without caring, looking nonchalant, and paced back and forth with a half smile. It wasn't until his phone seemed to receive some message that he stopped in surprise and quickly picked it up to check. The message must have been very long, otherwise, the man wouldn't have stood still for several minutes. Seeing the man put down his phone with a cold expression, Jiangyu hugged the man's waist from behind. Just as she was about to speak, She was frightened and sprained her ankle and fell down by the man's furious action of throwing the phone at the electronic screen in the center of the conference room. The electronic screen was smashed, sparking, and in pieces. Jiang Yu's face turned pale with fear, and she sobbed continuously. Xu Yunjing turned around and walked towards. At this point, the video ended abruptly. In fact, I didn't need to watch further to know that Xu Yunjing would definitely help Jiang Yu up. Then he would apologize to her softly and spoil her even more out of a sense of guilt and pander to her. I exited the video interface and sent a blessing message to my female colleague. Although we won't be able to work side by side in the future, I still hope that she can climb the career ladder and have a bright future. On the fourth day after returning home, under the care of my parents, I was in high spirits and went to a gathering with my two best girlfriends from high school. These two women kept asking me which beauty salon I had gotten maintenance injections from. After joking around for a while, my phone rang. The caller ID showed an unknown number. Thinking that I had just changed my phone number 2 days ago and this was most likely a boring sales call, I didn't care and pressed the screen to turn it off without paying any attention. Shortly after returning home in the evening, the doorbell of my house rang. Since I had ordered milk tea takeout, I opened the door without thinking. It's really fast. When I saw that it was Xu Yunjing standing outside the door, the smile on my face disappeared instantly. I didn't know how he found out the address of my parents' residence. I only knew that I never wanted to see him again. Sensing that I wanted to close the door immediately, Xu Yunjing's eyes darkened, risking his finger being crushed. He didn't hesitate to reach out and block the door crack firmly. He asked me in a hoarse voice, "Linran, why didn't you answer my call?" At this moment, although my mind was a bit confused, it didn't affect my ability to express myself verbally. Xu Yunjing heard me say word by word, "We have already broken up. Please leave immediately." Upon hearing the words break up, Xu Yunjing seemed to have heard the most ridiculous joke. He sneered and increased the strength of his grip on the door panel. "Break up? When did we break up? Why don't I know about it?" When I heard this, my first reaction was that the text message hadn't been sent successfully, but after thinking about it for a while, I knew it was impossible. Moreover, even if the text message hadn't been sent successfully, upon hearing the news of my resignation, as smart as Xu Yunjing, he wouldn't not know what it meant. Since everything was so obvious, why did he still have the nerve to come to my door? I didn't ask the doubts in my heart. I just looked at the uninvited guest outside the door with a cold expression and said with the last bit of patience, "If you really don't know, then I'll tell you now, face to face. Xu Yunjing, I want to break up with you." Did you hear what I said clearly? If you're really hard of hearing, I don't mind repeating it to you. No matter how many times you repeat it, I only have one answer. The man gritted his teeth secretly and looked at me with a cold and pale face. "Linran, I don't agree to your breakup. I clearly didn't do anything wrong. Why do you say we're breaking up just like that?" When I heard this, I looked at Xu Yunjing in surprise. I never thought that a person could be so brazen. While I was in a daze, my father's curious voice came from the kitchen not far away. "Ranran, who are you chatting with at the door?" "Dad, I'm not chatting. The milk tea I ordered has arrived. By the way, I just remembered that I forgot to pick up a package. I'll go downstairs now." As I spoke, I mercilessly pushed Xu Yunjing away from the door, walking out of the house expressionlessly. I got on the elevator by myself and said to him with a cold face, "Don't disturb my parents. Let's talk outside if you have anything to say." 10 minutes later, in the corner of a Western-style restaurant near my home, I sat face to face with Xu Yunjing. He spoke first. "You've cut your hair." Seeing that I was still silent, the man who was always cold and taciturn praised me for the first time in a flattering tone. "The new hairstyle looks great. It suits you very well." Xu Yunjing likes women with long flowing hair. In order to cater to his aesthetic taste, I, who was naturally afraid of the heat, had grown long black hair that reached my waist for 7 years. However, during these 7 years, he never once fulfilled the casual promise he made to me, which was to braid my favorite long hair with flower patterns for me. At this time, the waiter brought the menu. Before I could speak, the man had already ordered dinner for 2 on his own. He said to me, "Linran, you've lost weight. Eat something to fill your stomach first. After we go home tomorrow, I'll take you to a really good restaurant." I was really amused by him. "Go home, Xu Yunjing. Have you forgotten that we were just in a simple romantic relationship? We're not married at all." When he heard me say this, Xu Yunjing gave a sneer as if he had seen through everything. "Lin Ran, we've been together for 7 years. If you want to marry me, you can just say it directly. Do you think I'll disagree? You really don't need to waste each other's time and do all this now." I pinched my cool forehead. I opened my phone, brought up the employment contract with the rival company I was going to join, and placed it clearly on the table for him to see. As I expected, the man's entire handsome face turned pale as soon as he glanced at the content on my phone. Xu Yunjing hates betrayal the most in his life. Whether it's at work or in his personal life, he can always implement the principle of once unfaithful, never used again. I crossed my arms and said calmly, "General Manager Xu, I know you have a strong sense of pride. Even if you have no feelings for me, it's hard for you to accept the words break up coming from me all of a sudden. Since that's the case, I'll now give you the opportunity to take the initiative to break up with me, and no matter who asks in the future, I'll say that you dumped me. Are you satisfied with this?" Time passed by minute. Since I didn't get a reply for a long time, I was really too lazy to waste any more time. When I made a move to leave, the anger on Xu Yunjing's face immediately turned into an unmaskable panic. During our 7-year relationship, he spoke to me in an apologetic tone for the first time. "Lin Ran, don't leave yet. I know that I've been too busy with work and have neglected you in the past few years. So you've done this stupid thing. It doesn't matter. I won't blame you. It's just a matter of paying some liquidated damages, as long as you promise to go back with me tomorrow morning. I'll pretend that nothing happened." Ran, I really miss the food you cook." When he mentioned the food I cooked, I remembered one working day morning 2 months ago when Xu Yunjing suddenly sent me a message asking me to make a portion of spiced plum spare ribs. On that day, I was suffering from menstrual cramps. I rode my bike under the scorching sun to the nearest farmer's market, bought the freshest spare ribs, and returned home with pale lips. I raced against time to cook a nutritious spare rib lunchbox before the lunch break at noon. When I arrived at the door of the office on the top floor with cold sweat on my head and weak legs, Xu Yunjing and Jiang Yu happened to come out, seeing the lunchbox in my hand. Jiang Yu happily snatched it and said in a delicate voice, "Thank you so much, Sister Lin Ran. My little cutie likes the spiced plum spare ribs you cook the most. The second favorite is the braised pork spare ribs." Little Cutie was the pet dog that Jiang Yu kept in the company. Seeing Jiang Yu feed the lunchbox to the dog in front of me, Xu Yunjing only said to me, "Jiang Yu and I are going out for a meal. Remember to clean up after Little Cutie finishes eating later." Remembering this, I looked the man straight in the eyes and said clearly and unhurriedly, "Xu Yunjing, I won't go back with you. The place where my parents are is my real home. In addition, I will never marry you, because I don't love you anymore." Xu Yunjing was obviously taken aback for a moment, and then he laughed out of extreme anger. "You don't love me anymore. We've only been apart for less than a week, and now you're telling me that you've already let go of your feelings for me, Lin Ran. Don't you think what you're saying is ridiculous?" I looked at him with contempt in my eyes and didn't back down. "Xu Yunjing, the really ridiculous one is you. You're clearly extremely tired of me and think I'm dispensable. You clearly have a soft spot for Jiang Yu and like her so much that you wish you could give her all the best things in the world. Why won't you admit that you've really cheated and fallen in love with her, deceiving yourself and playing the field? And then wasting my youth day after day. Do you think it's fun?" After being in a relationship for many years, Xu Yunjing was used to my tenderness, consideration, and obedience, facing my reasonable and forceful words, which he had never experienced before. The man's face turned from red to green and then became very pale, until all the ordered dishes were served and turned cold. Xu Yunjing finally spoke in a hoarse voice, unable to hide his dejection. "Lin Ran, you've misunderstood me. I really didn't cheat. There's something I've never told you. I once had a younger sister who died prematurely. Her name was Xu Xinyu. The first time I heard Jiang Yu call me brother, it was as if I was hallucinating that Xinyu was still alive. That's why I wanted to try my best to fulfill all of Jiang Yu's wishes. I know you must think I'm making excuses and coming up with reasons, but I swear I'm not lying to you, in order to prove that Xu Xinyu did exist." Xu Yunjing took out the only photo of him and his sister that he had always treasured in the hidden compartment of his wallet. Facing the man's earnest explanation, I just glanced down at the time on my phone and said indifferently, "What you consider Jiang Yu to be is your own business, Xu Yunjing. In fact, Whether there is Jiang Yu or not, I will still break up with you." Having said this, I stood up and had only taken a couple of steps when Xu Yunjing grabbed my wrist. He said, "Lin Ran, we've been together for 7 years. Do you remember what you whispered in my ear on the night we got together? You said that you liked me so much and that you would always like me. You said that as long as we held hands for one more day, your love for me would grow a little more." Meeting the man's eyes filled with panic, I pried his fingers off one by one. "Xu Yunjing, not to mention 7 years. Even if we were together for 70 years, I could still dump you today without any psychological burden. From now on, you'd better not take the love words that women casually say seriously anymore." Upon hearing my last words, the hand that Xu Yunjing had used to try to hold me back finally dropped, ignoring the throbbing and sourness in his heart. Xu Yunjing twitched the corners of his mouth at me with red eyes. "Lin Ran, don't worry, you're not as important as you think you are." After saying that, he directly bought a ticket for the fastest flight in front of me and walked out of the restaurant ahead of me. Looking at the man's disappearing back, I let out a long sigh from the bottom of my heart. Time quickly came to Monday. I officially joined the new company and started a brand new job and life. Those feelings of loss and disappointment that I thought I would never be able to let go of in my lifetime were quietly and quickly soothed and eventually forgotten under the healing power of time, family affection, and friendship. If I had to be picky and say what was not good about my current life, it would be that I might be so busy recently that I'm a bit neurasthenic. I occasionally have the strange illusion that someone is observing me in the dark. One ordinary weekend night more than a month later, I went to the KTV private room as promised and had a great time with my girlfriends and the relatives and friends they brought. After we played and fooled around for a while, I, who couldn't hold my liquor well, took the initiative to offer to go to the supermarket at the front desk to restock some food for everyone. I didn't expect Chengzhe to follow me out. He is the cousin of my girlfriend Chengyun. I often went to Chengyun's house to do my homework when I was in high school. Chengzhe lived next door at that time. For a while, I even gave him free tutoring in junior high school mathematics, before I could speak. The handsome and tall young man had already opened his mouth. "I heard that you won't leave again this time you're back." I blinked and lightly poked his forehead just like when we were young. "Wrong. Why haven't I heard you call me sister since I came back? Be careful, or I'll go to your parents' house and tattle on you next time." Upon hearing this, Chengzhe must have recalled some interesting past events. He lowered his head and smiled, then stared at me intently. "Lin Ran, you." Before he could finish his sentence, I felt a pain in my wrist. Suddenly, I was dragged staggeringly and fell backward with a strong force. However, I didn't really fall down. Instead, I fell into the chest of a man who was once the most familiar to me. "Xu Yunjing, why are you here?" According to the normal itinerary, the man should be in romantic Paris with Jiang Yu at this time, enjoying the joy and sweetness brought by their relationship. Facing my surprised question, Xu Yunjing still looked at me expressionlessly. "Lin Ran, I've given you a whole month. Even if you were really angry with me and had a feud with me before, by now you should have calmed down." After saying this, Xu Yunjing gave Chengzhe a cold look in a superior posture as if declaring his sovereignty. Just before I was about to curse at him for being crazy, Jiang Yu appeared. She was holding 2 ice cream cones. After giving me a malicious look and rolling her eyes at me where Xu Yunjing couldn't see, she forced a fake sweet smile and said to me, "Sister Lin Ran, Brother Yunjing has been hiring a private detective to protect you for the past month. He really can't live without you. Sister, you're so magnanimous. Just eat this ice cream cone and forgive Brother Yunjing and Yeye for our unintentional mistakes before." Okay, after a moment of silence, I smiled at Xu Yunjing. "Let me go first, and we'll find a quiet place to have a good talk." Upon hearing this, a flash of joy appeared in Xu Yunjing's eyes, and he immediately released his hold on me. However, the next second, I did something that surprised everyone. I snatched the ice cream cone from her and unceremoniously slapped it on that despicable face. Jiang Yu's shrill scream made everyone around turn their attention to us. Seeing Jiang Yu with 1 ice cream cone on her head and 1 on her left eye, looking funny and screaming in pain, several onlookers couldn't help but laugh out loud. This wasn't the end yet. After slapping off the crumbs of the ice cream cone on my hand, I, who was often called by the parents for fighting when I was young, indifferently and promptly grabbed the long hair of Jiang Yu, who was trying to throw herself into Xu Yunjing's arms to seek comfort. Jiangyu. Were your eyes twitching just now? Who were you rolling your eyes at? I didn't give Jiangyu a chance to reply at all. In her incredibly shocked and frightened eyes, I slapped her 5 or 6 crisp slaps in succession, both with my right hand and my left hand. Jiangyu was slapped by me until her cheeks were swollen and her nose was bleeding. Now her crying finally turned from fake to real. And it was so hoarse and unpleasant that I looked at her in disgust and threw her towards the direction where Xu Yunjing was standing, like throwing away trash. The funny thing was that not only did Xu Yunjing not reach out to catch Jiangyu, but when Jiangyu crawled towards him crying and was about to touch the hem of his pants, he frowned and took a big step back. Jiangyu was completely stunned. She widened her tearful eyes, feeling shocked and heartbroken that Xu Yunjing didn't even look at her and walked straight towards me, looking at me with full sincerity and expressing his loyalty. Lin Ran, I've already made it clear to Jiangyu that I've always only regarded her as a younger sister. Those inappropriate physical contacts that made you angry before will definitely not happen again from now on. Xu Yunjing made a move as if he wanted to hug me, however, before I could react, Chengzhe had already coldly protected me firmly behind him and said to Xu Yunjing with a disdainful look in his eyes, "Don't act improperly towards her before Lin Ran agrees." Before Chengzhe could finish his words, Xu Yunjing, with a dark face, wordlessly swung his fist that he had held back for a long time at the young man. "Who the hell are you to interfere in the matter between me and my girlfriend?" The young man took the punch forcefully, and the veins on his forehead burst out instantly. However, since punches and kicks have no eyes, in order not to affect me standing behind him, Chengzhe just sneered and rubbed the corner of his mouth that was stinging with the back of his hand. Chengzhe could endure it, but I couldn't. In front of everyone present, I directly stepped forward and slapped Xu Yunjing. Then I looked at him with a look of disgust. "Xu Yunjing, if you're crazy, go to a mental hospital for treatment. Don't act crazy here and make people disgusted." The force of that slap wasn't actually that great, but Xu Yunjing seemed to turn into a statue, standing still in the same place. He really didn't understand how someone could really let go of the love and affection accumulated over 7 years of day and night companionship just like that. Could it be that I had never loved him at all? How could that be possible, whether it was friends, colleagues, or childhood friends and relatives? Anyone who had seen me and him get along would envy and say that Lin Ran was really deeply in love with Xu Yunjing. Even he himself firmly believed that as long as he didn't mention breaking up, I would stay by his side for the rest of my life. In the past, he had been so confident, in a trance. Xu Yunjing heard me ask with concern if Chengzhe's face was okay. Out of the corner of his eye, he saw Chengzhe gently squeezing my palm with a look of distress and asking me if my palm hurt. Clenching his fists tightly, Xu Yunjing's eyes turned blood red. He couldn't bear it any longer and roared at me. "Lin Ran, I'm the man you've loved for 7 years. How could you treat me like this for an outsider?" Upon hearing this, I was really amused. "Xu Yunjing, how many times do I have to tell you before you can understand that I, Lin Ran, don't want you anymore?" Seeing me holding Chengzhe's hand and making a move to leave, the tears in Xu Yunjing's eyes couldn't be controlled and streamed down. "Lin Ran," Xu Yunjing shouted my name heart-wrenchingly, but the strength he used to hold my wrist was so light that it gave me the ridiculous illusion that he regarded me as a precious treasure. Our eyes met. I had never seen such a lost and dejected expression on Xu Yunjing's face. He looked at my profile humbly. "I apologize to you, Lin Ran. I shouldn't have attacked your friend. I'm sorry, Lin Ran, I'm really sorry. You can hit me or scold me however you want. I didn't mean to make you unhappy. I just want you to know that I really don't love Jiangyu." When the man said this, Jiangyu, whose eyes and face were swollen, crawled to his feet in disbelief. Just as she was about to cry out, Xu Yunjing actually stepped on the woman's face and kicked her away mercilessly. "Lin Ran, I'll fire Jiangyu right now, or I'll make her disappear forever, okay? I promise you that I won't hire any female assistant in the future. I will definitely." Sighing inwardly, I interrupted Xu Yunjing and said, "You don't have to tell me these things. I really don't care." Xu Yunjing was stunned for half a second, then gently shook his head, and his tone trembled involuntarily. "Lin Ran, you do care about me. I know that you're just disappointed in what I've done in the past, but now I already know what I did wrong, as long as you're willing to give me a chance. I will really change, Xu Yunjing. I'll say it one last time, I've already broken up with you. Having said this, I took Chengzhe back to the private room. As if nothing had happened, we continued to have fun and dance. One late night 2 months later, I accidentally answered a call from Xu Yunjing using an unknown number. The man had a half smile and asked me straightforwardly if there had ever been a child between me and him. The man immediately raised the corners of his mouth and turned to walk into the study. In addition to that, there were some faint whooshing noises coming from the phone. I thought that he must have seen the hospital medical records that I didn't take away. There was really nothing to hide about this matter, so I not only readily admitted it but also sincerely smiled and congratulated him. It's a good thing the child is gone. Xu Yunjing, don't you always hate being tied down the most? There was a long silence. Beep beep beep. The man hung up the phone. It wasn't until near the end of the year, I learned from the female colleague I had worked with before that Xu Yunjing had an accident while driving under the influence of alcohol and had become a vegetable. However, Xu Yunjing's parents were very wealthy. Even though the chance of their son waking up was extremely slim, they still didn't give up on the treatment. Ran, what's wrong? What earth-shattering gossip did my sister send you again, in a high-end restaurant? Chengzhe came out of the restroom, seeing me looking down at my phone with a strange and dazed expression. He casually asked, putting down my phone. I smiled indifferently. Nothing. By the way, don't book this restaurant again in the future. It's expensive and the food isn't good. Next time we'd better go eat hot pot. Chengzhe held my somewhat cold fingers and kissed them. Okay, I'll listen to you. When we walked out of the restaurant, the first snow of the year happened to fall. Afraid that I would be cold, Chengzhe put his coat on me and once again stood under the streetlight with flowers in his hand to confess his love to me. The young man blushed at the tip of his nose and said a little shyly that it was said that as long as you confess your love on the day of the first snow, you can be together forever. Although I don't believe in forever, I still smiled and accepted the flowers, threw myself into his warm embrace, and